So are you ready to take your art to new levels of abstractness and texture? Well, then you've come to the right place. Today, I'm going to be using aluminum foil and modeling paste to create something that's pretty cool, but that anybody can do. Because let's be honest, we all have aluminum foil in our kitchen, or do we not? But don't worry, I'll be providing all the instructions in the video. And of course, you can always take some of what I've done, if that inspires you, to create something that's truly unique and all your own. So grab your aluminum foil and a tub of modeling paste and let's get ready to make some art that is truly out of this world. I mean, like literally, because aluminum is an element and it is, found here in the world. Yeah, that's the best I could come up with. But that's not all. I sound like a game show host, don't I? But that's not all. If you watch this video all the way through, keep your eyes peeled because there's gonna be a secret word that's gonna appear on the screen that you need to write down because today is the ColourArte Winterfest event. And it's your opportunity to win some free product from ColourArte, not only on each channel, but also as an overall prize. But you can find all the details of today's event in the description box below and how you can enter for a chance to win any of the prizes available throughout today's event. So grab yourself a pen so that you're ready because this is one adventure you probably don't want to miss. So my name is Tiffany Remijn. Welcome to my channel. Let's get started. Now we're going to take that aluminum foil that you can find in your kitchen. We're going to take it, we're going to crumple it up. Now, crumpling the tinfoil, you can create as much texture or as little texture as you want. Then we're going to take the PVA glue, we're going to put it down on the canvas, make sure we've got it nicely coated. We're going to take each strip of that tinfoil, stick it down real good, and then put a layer of PVA glue over top just to make sure that the edges are stuck down really, really good so that you don't risk anything when you add the texture and the paint on top of it. Now, the goal for me is I don't necessarily want the shininess of the tinfoil to shine through the paint. I really just am using it in this application for the texture that it provides alone. You could definitely do this so that you could have some of that shininess like you would a gold leaf shining up from underneath the acrylic paint that we're going to put on top. But for this one, that wasn't my plan. And then once I get the entire canvas covered with the aluminum foil and the glue, I'm going to let it dry, usually overnight, before I start to apply any type of texture coating or even paint on top. All right, now that the glue is dry, I'm actually going to come in with some modeling paste to create another layer of texture. You don't have to use expensive modeling paste. You could actually use wall spackle that you get at the hardware store. In fact, in the description below, the link to my playlist of texture pieces where I actually just use wall spackle. But I thought I'd give this one a shot. And the reason you might be wondering, why don't I just create the texture utilizing just the aluminum foil is because the paint's going to pick up the texture differently in a mixed media piece. It will attach itself differently. The hues will be different depending on the consistency of your paint. If it's a really water wash or what have you, it will react differently to each layer of the texture that you've put on, or the different types of texture that you've put on the canvas. And I'm just going to go around while I'm waiting for that to dry for the next 24 hours and just paint the edges because that's kind of how I roll. I like to have a finished canvas before I actually start painting on top of the canvas. Please don't ask me why. It's just my thing. All right, so I got up my catalyst wedge. It's kind of ready to go. And I'm going to show you the colors that I'm going to use. These are all Vivid Intense by ColourArte, which is Pyrrole Orange, Quinacridone Red, Carbon Black, and I don't know if I'm going to actually use this. This is a Hansa Yellow Light. I'm unsure at this moment, but definitely Titanium White. And I'm going to utilize the Nickel Azo Gold. And then I'm going to use the Prism Pour Ginger Snap. I'm going to mix it with my Van Dyke Brown by Amsterdam because that's like my new favorite thing ever. Now, what's the plan on the canvas? As you can see, I've divided it into thirds. I'm going to do a different color on the bottom and a different color up at the top, create multiple layers of texture, cover the entire canvas. It should be kind of exciting. First off, though, I am going to take what I call dirty water, which is just a wash over the entire canvas. And what I find is, as you can see, the texture is going to pick up some of that. So it'll help me kind of define the texture so that as I'm adding the color on top of the canvas, I can kind of see, it helps me navigate, to be perfectly honest with you. Now this is Ginger Snap mixed with Van Dyke Brown, and then I've just added my pouring medium to it to kind of thin it to get it to that level of consistency. Now, even though this is fluid paint, mixed with a pouring medium, the consistency doesn't matter. It's very, very, very different than acrylic pouring. This, I just, get it to the color I want, that it's easy to apply with the catalyst wedge. Now, mind you, you can use the catalyst wedge with the paint directly out of the Vivid Intense bottles, directly out of a paint tube if you're using like a standard acrylic paint, or even Prism Pour.
But in this instance, I like to, make it a little bit more liquid so that I can get the paint down with my paintbrush or the catalyst wedge right down into the texture, deep into it, especially for this one, because in this piece where the texture is, I want a really deep, rich color. And of course, now I'm just using a paper towel because it's just as important to add color as it is to remove it. Now this happens to be Naples Yellow Light, again, mixed with my pouring medium. I'm just going to spread it on the bottom third of the canvas. I'm going to continue to blend this color in everywhere on the bottom third, covering up the brown, blending in it with the brown. And then the top of the canvas is that going to be that quinacridone red. Now I've got the quinacridone red mixed two ways. One with just the quinacridone red mixed with the enamel that comes with the prism pour kits that you can get. But I also have it with black mixed in, because again, I wanted to give it like multiple hues and a depth and richness of color. Now, the beauty of this textured art is, as you can see, I do have a piece of cling wrap, plastic wrap on the side, saran wrap, I think is what they used to call it, if that's even a brand anymore. And I put the paint on there. Yes, this is a silicone matte that I used to use for acrylic pouring, but it helps clean up a little bit easier, and I can cover that easy if I'm not done. And then between layers, because this is going to be a multiple layering process, feel free to take out your blow dryer. There's no harm in that. Again, very different from fluid art. So it allows you to keep going on your piece, because sometimes you don't want the colors to blend together. You want just to add depth and richness into the entire piece. And this is just yellow ochre mixed again with my pouring medium. And I'm just going to keep adding layer upon layer, adding depth and dimension into this piece.